hundreds of women who are currently in the infantry, lethal members of our military serving in the infantry, but you degrade them. You say, we need moms, but not in the military, especially in combat units. So please explain these types of statements, because they're brutal and they're mean. And I would...
Well, we are back on the Megyn Kelly show, and I, the American expat, not even American expat, I'm an American who has been living in Europe for over 30 years. I'm going to give my take, as usual, on the shenanigans going on in the United States from an outside perspective. And as you can see, we're on Megyn Kelly's show. She's talking to Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire, and they're discussing Pete Hegseth's confirmation hearings. And he's getting grilled about some of the things that he has said about women in the military. If you have strong feelings about women in the military, especially in combat roles, let me know in the comments. I think you can probably already guess where I stand on that, but we'll get to that shortly. Let's get back to the clip and see what they have to say.
Was an embarrassment. Here's a little sampling of her.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement relating to this kind of conduct?
Senator, I was falsely accused in October of 2017. It was fully investigated, and I was completely cleared.
I don't think completely cleared is accurate. Will you resign as Secretary of Defense if you drink on the job, which is a 24/7 position?
I've made this commitment on behalf of the men and women I'm serving.
Will you resign as Secretary of Defense
I've made this commitment on behalf of the men and women I'm serving.
I'm not
because
hearing,
it's the most important deployment of my life.
I'm not hearing an answer to my question, so I'm going to move on. Would you carry out an order to shoot protesters in the legs?
I saw 50 Secret Service agents get injured by rioters trying to jump over the fence, set the church on fire, and destroy a statue.
That sounds to me that you will comply with such an order. You will shoot protesters in the leg.
Shoot protesters in the leg? What on earth are they talking about? I suppose it depends what they're doing. Boy, these Senate confirmation hearings are a bear. Let's see what Megyn Kelly and Michael Knowles have to say about it.
Wait, there's more. She pressed him on Greenland, too. She has us invading Greenland in SOD 18.
Would you use our military to take over Greenland or an ally of Denmark?
Senator, one of the things that President Trump is so good at is never strategically tipping his hand. And so I would never in this public forum give one way or another direct what orders the president would give me in any context.
That sounds to me that you would contemplate carrying out such an order to basically invade Greenland and take over the Panama Canal.
How about a trade, Megyn? How about, listen, I love Hawaii. It is one of my absolute favorite places on earth. I'm beginning to think we might have made a mistake in 1959. So what if it's just a fair trade to Denmark? Denmark gets Hawaii, they get Mazie Hirono, and we get Greenland.
It's easy. So she was terrible. She was just so, she thought she was scoring points. You know, you could kind of feel that she was like, yeah, I got him again. Meanwhile, the rest of us are laughing at her. Everybody in the gallery was laughing at her. So that was Mazie. But, I mean, honestly, I don't want to choose, like, the worst woman. But Kirsten Gillibrand was...
She was the worst.
Like, hysterical. First of all, she looks like she's aged 30 years in the past 4. Like, I looked around, and she looked like a woman in her mid-40s the last time I looked at her. And then from afar, I was like, she looks like an elderly woman over there. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to attack her personally. I'm just saying, like, I think the job has been a lot for her. And it's also backed up by her hysterics. Like, people's feelings are hurt. Here's a sample.
We have hundreds of women who are currently in the infantry, lethal members of our military serving in the infantry, but you degrade them. You say, we need moms, but not in the military, especially in combat units. So please explain these types of statements, because they're brutal and they're mean.
And I would point out, I've never disparaged women serving in the military. I respect every single female service member that has put on the uniform, past and present. My critiques, Senator, recently and in the past, and from personal experience, have been instances where I've seen standards lowered.
So just, you cannot denigrate women in general, and your statements do that. We don't want women in the military, especially in combat. What a terrible statement. Everything you've said in these public statements is politics. I don't want women. I don't want moms. What's wrong with a mom, by the way? Once you have babies, you therefore are no longer able to be lethal? Because I don't want you thinking, can't serve if you're a mom, can't serve if you're LGBTQ, and then last, can't serve if you're a leftist.
Can't serve if you're a leftist. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Did he actually say that? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, well, as you can imagine, I am personally definitely against women serving in military combat units. Absolutely. I see zero upside to that. Zero upside and plenty of downsides. And if I'm not mistaken, I mean, apart from lowering of standards and all that, I'm sure there are some, yes, there are, of course, some exceptional women who can pass the male standards. Not very many, from what I've heard or seen. But there are some, but just simply for unit cohesion, because men and women organize themselves in completely different ways. And when you upset that balance of an all-male unit, well, if you upset that balance by inserting females into an all-male unit, you're going to have problems. And you're going to have just not, even if they're not direct problems, like, you know, drama between, you know, who's sleeping with who and all that kind of thing. But also, it's well known that amazingly a lot of these women get pregnant as soon as it looks like they're going to have to go into combat or go into a war zone. So just better to avoid all these problems and let men organize these things in the way that they organize them. Of course, women can do, there's plenty of roles in the military. God, the military in America is probably one of the biggest employers in the country. It must be. There's all kinds of roles in the military. But certainly in combat units, infantry units, special forces units, just everything. I just don't see the point. It's asking for trouble.
Michael, thoughts?
Yeah. I think that Kirsten Gillibrand began her line of questioning trying to persuade people that women do belong in combat. And I think by the end of it, she had people wondering if women belong in the United States Senate. That was really awful. I think we need Senator Megyn Kelly to go restore the reputation of women in the deliberative body. She did not persuade anybody of anything.
No, I don't know why. They, you know, on this show, sometimes I have a temper, I'll get out, whatever. If I were in the Senate, trust me, I would be composed and I would be able to make my points without getting hysterical. Yeah, I wrote it down in my notes. It was like one of the few notes I took. At one point, she says, your comments are so hurtful. They're so hurtful.
They're so mean.
To whom? To the war fighters? So you're saying the female war fighters' feelings are hurt? Do you see how you're undermining your own point, madam? Like, are they war fighters who can go in there and take, bullets? Or are they like weepy little schoolgirls who hurt their feelings and they need a public apology? Go ahead.
Even to raise this point of women who are in the military, who are mothers, that maybe it's not the best idea to go send our mothers out there to go catch bullets from jihadis. Maybe there's something a little weird about that. It's so disingenuous, the objections that she's making, because when it comes to all of these questions, until very, very recently, we didn't have women in combat. Everyone agreed. Republicans, Democrats, independents, women should not be in combat catching bullets from terrorists. Until very, very recently, we all agreed men who think that they're women don't belong in the military. They belong in counseling because there's something that's gone wrong in their heads. Until very, very recently, we all agreed that DEI and all other forms of political correctness and methods of promotion that are not based on lethality and merit have no place in the military. Everyone agreed with that until the Obama administration, basically. And so to suggest now that to want to rewind the clock back to those long ago days of 2013 or something, that is right, somehow regressive and beyond the pale, it's just absurd. I mean, this is the kind of radicalism that the American people rejected at the ballot box in November. And I don't think the mood has changed between that time and Kirsten Gillibrand's shrill line of questioning.
I loved how Senator Wicker was the chair and he did a great job. He's like, no, you're not getting a second round of questioning. We're going to run this the same way we ran the last two when the Dems were in charge. And then you've got the ranking member, Jack Reed, who was making all sorts of points. But here's what I love about it. He had all sorts of points he was trying to score against Pete, but this is how he would do it. Well, I would like the record to reflect that I want to say the following terrible things about Pete. He got so far away from the microphone every time he spoke. You couldn't hear him at all. His staff put him a note in front of him saying, get in front of the microphone, you can't hear you. He listened to it one time, and for the rest of the time, he was like, and another thing about Pete Hegseth.
Good.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't watched these hearings, of course, so I didn't see that. But whatever. Michael Knowles and Megyn Kelly both made the point. Michael Knowles, in particular, made it very well. Yeah. On what planet is putting mothers, or is combining the role of mother and infantryman a good job? Who actually thinks like that? I mean, if you do, let me know in the comments, and please try to explain why you think it's a good idea. I would love to hear it. I would love to hear why. But I'm just not seeing it. And as Michael Knowles pointed out, the whole world, or at least all of the United States, did not see it either until 10 years ago. And we somehow accelerated this madness that we're currently living through today. So let me know what you think in the comments. I think just the very concept is ludicrous. It could be turned off overnight if we had serious people in charge. Will Donald Trump do anything about it? We will see. They mentioned Greenland in the hearing. Yeah, that's a whole interesting thing, but that's a topic for another video. So that's it for me in this video. Again, if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you.